All right. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter video than last time. I'm recording this several days after the event. Well, not the VDL games. So my memory is a little bit more foggy on some of these games. I played the 3 a.m. game on the August the what? August the 12th? Yeah. I played the 3 a.m. and then the 5 p.m. games. I had intended to play all three, but I had been super tired after traveling for work for 2 weeks. Before that, staying up super late that night before playing Dungeons and Dragons. So the 3 a.m. game was a little bit of a stretch. What I should have done is skip the 3 a.m. game, and then tried to play the second one. But I think this ended up being okay. The lack of sleep definitely affected my mood towards the end of this 3 a.m. game, unfortunately. So if anyone's from that game and is watching, I apologize. I turned into a little bit of a grumpy grandpa, as they say. Um, this is I'm spoiling the result a little bit. Um, there's going to be a diplomacy broadcasting network. I can never say the acronym correctly. DBN live stream on these games. I think at the end of this week, when I'm recording on the 16th Wednesday, so in like four days. So I'm spoiling the end, like spoiling a little bit, but I'm sure their coverage will be far superior than mine. And they don't have any of the inside info, so I'll try to cover a little bit of that here. Um, as you can see, I'm playing Germany. I managed to stay alive to the end, which is my style, I guess. Well, I'm gonna, yeah, I I'll be recording two games at once this time instead of individual videos. But my specialty seems to be like staying alive for the entire game. I'm a cockroach, as they say. God, I hate this. The novelty of it all hasn't really sunk in, I guess. But surprisingly, my results have been consistently getting better. I survived on one center last time, I survived on three this time, and I survived on four the next time. So, constant improvement. So that's one thing, I guess. Um, this game was really interesting because I had been warned ahead of time about certain players and how they interact, but I just my my optimism, my hope for humanity always fails me here. Okay. Ugh. So at the start, pretty standard. French opening, interesting, but not too crazy. They get the Burgundy. Jackson was very adamant about getting in there, and as Germany, I don't think it's best advised to bother stopping him because you're just kind of stuck in Munich the entire time. I can see a world where if you have a good relationship with England, you could bounce him in Burgundy, and then move to Ruhr the next season, and then build an army in Munich, and then go after him. Right? Um, Chose not to do it this time. Was unsure about how England stood. Um, Pretty standard across the board though. Cody G in Italy though, with a very interesting opening. Yeah, I don't think it works out too well for him. That's the thing with Italy. If you're not super aggressive early, it's hard to see potential growth sometimes, unless you're really good at negotiating, which I am not the best at. So I work out a deal with England and Russia here. Um, I let Russia have Sweden because it doesn't seem like any point to stopping him. I support the English army into Belgium, which allows England to go +2, because in between those turns we had decided that we're gonna go after France here. France had been pushing for a triple, and unsurprisingly, as Germany, I did not like that prospect. So I decided to push EG ahead and see how that goes. Should be noted though, Austria broke the DMZ in Galicia, so potential east stuff happening. We are gonna try to get this west under control ASAP. See what we can do. Builds fleets, army, full anti-France here. We managed to convince France to go along with the Western triple moves and skip a 2-build start. But at this point, I think it's a little bit too late to deal a crushing blow to France. We get into Burgundy though nicely, but with him in Gascony, it's hard to know how to progress, right? His units aren't working the best together, but Jackson makes a brilliancy here. He correctly guesses. Well, I don't think he predicted these set of moves exactly, but he accurately was gonna bounce in Brest and Paris, but then moving out of Marseille was the tricky one. I think maybe this is just messed up tactics by me in England, but getting deeper into their territory seemed like a good move at this point because we were getting into MAO as well, maybe. Austria forces back Italy, so I have to do some negotiation with Italy here. He says he doesn't want to pick with fight with me, but it's Cody G, so you never know. At this point, it's completely doomed. We can't actually kill France. It looks like there's a juggernaut forming in the east as well, so we have to either back off France here and find a way to work together, or I think the board gets wiped because we're bogged down. There's no way we move forward in this position. And then I decide, hey, I think I need to just get myself into position here. I see that I can get Sweden pretty easily here. I see I can pick up Belgium, and I'm like, okay, if there's a juggernaut coming, I want to make sure I am strong enough. My relationship with Russia was unsure, so I just decided to go for it. I'm finding in diplomacy that the more proactive decision you make, the better, right? Um, mm, you can make aggressive moves, but then you also have the chance to use diplomacy to justify them, right? Which is the difference. Of my tactics are not good this game, I will admit, and there are some mistakes I think coming up in this winter. Not this winter, but the next winter. Third fleet's very important. I feel like for Germany, it's the fourth fleet where it kind of falls apart. We're working on a French FG now. The turn against this juggernaut, looking kind of scary. Italy can probably hold for a little while, but not guaranteed. And then fully decide to turn against England here. There was again talks of a triple, but England just getting in the way. We need more centers, or at least France does, which I think will be my downfall. So I think I'm in a decent position. These armies are definitely misplaced in the lowlands there. But I get into Tyrolia and I'm just kind of messing around here, seeing what's up, trying to get my fingers in the diplomacy so I can actually talk to Russia. Because right now, me and Russia don't have a lot to talk about other than maybe Norway. But now that I'm in Tyrolia, I can actually talk to Italy, talk to Russia, and maybe even talk to Turkey just about what's going on, right? If Turkey wanted to stab Russia here, he could. We've been trying to convince Russia to stab Turkey this entire time as well, just to break up the juggernaut, right? So this Tyrolia move um, is a diplomatic move, more or less. It's to let me get in there, um, which I think it maybe is underrated sometimes in diplomacy. Maybe not, because I'm not very experienced, but diplomat like moves intended to initiate good diplomacy is is the kind of moveset that I'm intrigued about right now. Not necessarily super aggressive moves, but moves that will get people talking to you. Still super scary. Russia looking mighty dangerous. So we managed to convince Russia to turn. I intentionally input a misorder here in Tyrolia because Russia wanted to maybe move into Venice. He had discussed it with me, so I was like, okay, I can do that for you if you want. And then I just support Budapest into Venice instead as like a misorder. But Russia didn't even take it. He just came straight into Serbia while losing Trieste behind. Not ideal for him, I don't think, because now his position is just super worse. Um, in the West, there's a series of guesses that we had to make if we want to take England out. Typically, in this position, I see a lot of German players like convoy to York, and it feels like uh, the Robert Shoop also had a similar idea. So I just outguess him here and convoy straight into London without any kind of foreplay. Right, just going for it. Succeeds. France gets into Irish. Uh, this is the guaranteed option, right? France could have guessed, but this is the guaranteed for the fall. So well played. Now he gets in. I completely vacate London because I can't realistically hold it, right? If England, I had made a deal with England to say, hey, I'm just gonna let you live on two centers. I'm just gonna completely vacate here, right? Because I can't guarantee London by myself because you can just cut my support in North. So I'm gonna leave you there, and then I'm just gonna transition straight away into Russia here. Okay, made the deal, convoy back. This army in Belgium feels completely useless, but it's just covering my butt. I get into Vienna. I just dot Russia again. Getting him to lose some points here, I think, is important. So I don't intend on keeping Vienna, but this is where I make my mistake. This is my mistake. In the post game discussion, France told me that this build here was what really convinced him to turn on me. Yeah, this fleet in Kiel, not good. If I'm doing a fleet in Kiel, I'm just have to completely go against France and England here and just say I can just beat both of you, which realistically I shouldn't be doing because my units are spread out all over the place. I don't know if it would have mattered so much either because France is still in a good position against me, regardless. But if I build an army, I can hold down Roar in the mainland, and no progress can be made either way. I make the mistake of keeping England alive here. It comes back to bite me. This Kiel fleet is just completely fucking useless. Get more centers in the north, though. He can't. He couldn't hold it. But now the French train comes rolling in because England is still with him. Oh, here I should mention this. We were across the line more or less, but France convinces me to make a really bad move here in Galicia and Vienna. Um, I think my original plan was to help him take Venice, or actually take Budapest, like straight up, or something ridiculous. But yeah, just a tragedy. Put my that fleet in Livonia just to like support right, uh, St. Petersburg. But it's basically useless, man. It's pointless. This is the French stab here. They trade Holland and London. It's coming in. I kind of expected it with the Munich support here, but it's not looking good for me. And now at this point, there's draw discussions. Hey, let's draw this. We'll let the French top. We don't gotta do anything crazy here. But no, the French can go for a solo here super easily. So they try. Him getting to Helgoland really hurts. I make some good guesses here to defend my territory in Roar, but I'm losing Vienna. It's slowly bleeding away. This is looking more and more like a French solo. If we can't figure something out, we want to draw, but at this point, Russia says he will not ever draw until he has St. Petersburg, and I'm like, at this point, I'm tired, I'm irritated, I've been up a long time. I'm like, fine, just fucking take it, I don't care. But then they ignore everything else after that and just push me out of the game further. I mean, still some good defensive moves by me, right? Me and England kind of work together here a little bit, but still not enough. Trying to get my fleets in working together here. I finally get my fleets on the North Sea, but my position is still gonna crumble. England gets back into Holland. Russia cuts my support in Norway. For whatever reason, Russia is working with France here. It makes no sense because France doesn't care about them. He can just still solo, and Turkey can definitely try to go for a solo here too. I finally get in the North Sea, but it doesn't matter because England and France just keep messing with me, and then Russia as well. So I'm the target now. Like, such a shame. We should have drawn this ages ago, but now it looks like with that build in the North Coast, the army build in St. Petersburg, I'm gonna die. So I'm working my tail off to get this draw still, and then I'm like, what moves can I make that are kind of defensive, right? But set me up to defend myself in the fall, right? Realistically, I should get eliminated here and France should solo, but so I kind of vacate knowing what kind of will happen. So then I try to set myself up for a defense here. So I can guarantee 3 centers for myself at the end of this game, and then we just end up drawing. And this is how it ends. Really, really frustrating game for me. Not, I can make excuses and Johns about my poor decision making and stuff like that, right? But I kind of dropped the ball in the middle game, right? My builds were not ideal. I didn't read the board very well. But because I got to such a strong point, I was able still just to live throughout the end of the game. But being at the mercy of other players diplomatically is not fun. you know? That's the game. I had been told before the game that Jackson, the French player, was a very smooth talker. It was a very smooth talker, and he was. He was. And I should have listened to him. Man. Well, no for the future, though. But this should have been a French solo. But it is what it is. Oh! Would you look at this? I have a move ready. I kind of want to look at this, but we'll look at that after as some bonus content for later. Next, we're gonna go to the third game of that day. I played Turkey, kind of spoiling the results. This is a Western triple that pushed to the end of the game. Uh, so good for them. I'm playing Turkey in this game, and I still again somehow live on 4 centers. Ignore this army in Syria. This is kind of troll. It was like an end of the game kind of bullshit. They went from Clyde all the way to Syria as a meme. I kind of I was asking to lose by doing this, but I was like, you know what? I got into this point. I might as well for the joke. Like if I lose, I lose. It doesn't matter. That's part of that's. It's a board game. You're supposed to have some fun, even if they use it against you. This game is typical turkey game. There's nothing special about this game, except kind of some spice towards the end. Cody G, my nemesis in Russia, um, talks so sweetly to me about a juggernaut. He's like, let's work together. You know, if you put your fleet in Constantinople, and then we can walk through together. It's all nice and dandy. Meanwhile, Austria and Italy blatantly aligned. I caught Italy out in a lie this game. Like negotiation wise, there's discrepancies. I called him out for it, acting like a new player, but he was not a new player. He's played lots of press, like extended deadline. Second ever VDL game, acting kind of noobish with some of his negotiation and his moves. Called him out on it. End up getting Lepantoed, or at least the attempt was made. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I will always call people out on their lies. You know, there's there's just something in me that's satisfying to to make that happen. I don't know if it's a good negotiation tactic or not, but like making your boundaries very clear in a game, I think like diplomacy is actually an underutilized tactic in the sense that like calling people out on lies is what's important, not necessarily establishing boundaries, right? You can establish boundaries like DMZs or like if you move here, I'm turning, etc. But like if they're lying to you, like while they're talking to you, right? Because everyone's gonna try to lie, and people are usually not telling the entire truth. But if if you're able to catch someone out in a lie directly, I think that shock for them will help you diplomatically in the future, unless they're super super angry, because it shows that like you don't tolerate lying, right? And that'll give them more trust towards you, right? In what you're saying to them, if that makes sense. Because if they recognize that, like you're not willing to tolerate lies, that means you're more likely to tell them the truth in a sense, right? Just psychologically, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm overthinking, but in the negotiations, always found that being honest like that was beneficial to negotiations and relationships. So, um, but yeah, typical turkey game. At the moment, it doesn't look like a triple's happening, right? And then there's the bounce in Sweden. Still nothing crazy. Apparently, this move into Trieste was not planned, but I don't believe it for a second. I don't believe this for a second. I go along with the Juggernaut call. I moved to Romania just as a normal precaution, right? Because if he's going to Black Sea and lying to me, he's not getting Romania, right? Um, and this is easily negotiated away as making sense, right? Like, hey, I trust you that we're gonna do this, and if you're telling the truth, it'll all work out. This Bulgaria move to Romania is inconsequential in the long run, right? If you're telling the truth. But if you're not telling the truth, it's going to be painful because you're also getting bounced in Sweden. So it's that move is just to keep him honest. It's not a it's not like I'm breaking our agreement kind of thing, right? So, but then I move myself to Con and Ankara. I was super tempted to do like a delayed weasel here. I'm gonna go Smyrna to Armenia and then Ankara to Black, but in negotiations within the last 5 minutes, I was able to sniff out this. This is where I call Italy in the lie. I was like, Italy, like, you're not telling the truth to me. Like, you're not new. You're not like this move set could be explained away by noobness, right? But it's very still standard. So I do not trust you. This is like I even told them, like I I was like, this is you can still get Lepanto here. I'm still afraid of it, right? Because you move the Italian fleet into Aegean, right, and then you just get early jump on Turkey. And they kind of laughed it away in discussions. Like we got into a 3-man discussion, and they kind of laughed it off. And I'm like, I see this move set. I'm like, oh yeah, here it comes. Oh man, it was just pure comedy. Because it's as Turkey, what can you do? You know, like there's nothing you can really do to stop this. Just the way your units are set up at the beginning. But frustrating, you know. It Turkey's. I love Turkey. I loved Turkey as a kid playing the game. Like I had the old Paradox interactive video game, and I love that game to death. And I would always play Turkey because in Gunboat with the AI, you know, they're just not good. So I was like, oh, this is always just a free win for me. But now versus actual players who know Turkey's strength, it's like, oh, okay, well, good luck. Russia still preaching to me that it's not a AIR, it's a juggernaut. We can do this, you know. Typical Cody. This I think is partly a mistake because he can always just forward retreat, you know. Um, but I'm still operating under the assumption that Russia is still not going to stab me here, so I'll still be able to defend myself. Not the case. So now I go down more centers here. I go down 2. Not very smart moves in my area. But now we're starting to realize, like, oh shit, is there a triple? This moveset from Germany is really concerning for Russia, but like, oh, it may not be a triple, you know, they could still be fighting. Maybe that England move was a misorder. But in the back of my head, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can use this to live. Because what the giveaway here for me was this Portugal to South Coast, right? The South Coast move is such a good giveaway. If they had like supported Brest had supported Portugal to MAO or for whatever reason, or Brest did literally anything else, it's you could just explain it away. But with Holland moving off the line, the South Coast move, Burgundy holding, it's a triple. So I'm like, okay, I'm not making very good moves in my home centers here, but at least there's a triple coming, right? And then my suspicions are confirmed. I'm grateful. This convoy to Tunis is super late and not in time to stop. Now you convoyed one of your only armies off your home centers. You could have easily just secured this with your fleet, right? You can't really hold it. Eventually, you're gonna have to give it up. But I'm still, they're still trying to kill me, right? They might as well take what they can. Um, but Austria kind of turns on Russia here for whatever reason. I don't know why Austria turns on Russia here, right? Going for Romania, that's the height of greed. Maybe he thought him and Italy had a better chance versus it, but with the triple coming and everyone yelling at Austria, that's the move is super strange. But they has a forward retreat into Serbia, and then now that everyone sees that the triple is coming, I'm sitting there with like the Bond villain, kind of like I can work with this. they need my help. Like they need to stop fighting me essentially here. And they need to get to the line, which they do. They work out a deal here. We decide that we're gonna piff this fleet in the Eastern Med and let him rebuild, which I think is still the best move here for him. Austria and Russia trade those centers back, but the line is broken in the north. There's no way he can get it. This fleet is completely useless. He actually would have had St. Petersburg if he didn't fuck up the order. You see this? He fucked up the order. He sent it to North Coast instead of South Coast, so now he doesn't get it. But it's not like he could have held it for that entire time. But if he did go there, he could piff the fleet and rebuild it somewhere, right? So that's the important bit. So the line is broken more or less. I self bounce because I'm like I don't want to die completely here, you know. And I'm at one center. I'm just looking for a way to survive. So I'm like negotiating. Both the Western Triple and then the Eastern countries are all in separate voice chats all together, like debating on tactics and stuff like that and negotiations. It's like, what can we do? Like, Italy does a really good job here of holding the line and defending and outguessing. The Austrian position is really awkward as well, but if we can consolidate, there's a stalemate line that they can establish, right? Um, so I agree to help. So I get into Ionian here, and France, England, they're all talking to me like, "Hey, you should stab here. You should stab him." Like, I'm looking for it, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting. The time isn't right yet. There's no good time for yet. And then I look at these moves and I'm like, okay, now's the time. This is the time, right? Russia's no longer on my Smyrna center. I'm like, I can go for Greece here. They completely vacated. Italy is going down two for whatever reason, and I'm in there. This is the time. I start reaching out to France. I'm like, France, you know, I could stop here with this, or I could leave the stalemate line up. You know, we have a chance to hold you guys forever, and I don't want you guys to like. We could turn the triple against each other, but I don't think I live in that scenario. So I want to stab, but I need some guarantees here. So I just negotiate that way. And as it turns out, at the end of the game, England, the English player here is like, if you didn't stab at this coming turn, I would have turned on the triple. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I made a mistake then or not, but I think allowing myself to live is a victory enough. I think from this position, like if you showed this position to somebody else, like who like do you think Turkey lives here? Yes or no? They probably. Oh God, they probably would have said no. So here it is, the Grand Stab, Ionian Sea to Greece. Italy does a good job here, man. He manages to piff the army. Um, you know, actually good defense here, despite it all. My job here was to cut the Tunis support if it was going to be offered. But I was like, no, fuck that. And then Austria sees my move here and then retreats into Romania to further stab Russia. So, and they're. I think this is brilliant on my end because, but maybe it's not super brilliant. But I think it is simply because I stab in a way where Austria still manages to get a build because he's taking Italian centers, and it's like, oh wait, we can still maybe hold the line here. You know, if Turkey, your fleet like goes into Ionian again, right? We can still hold the line. It's not over yet. We can still do it. And I'm sitting there like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's do the thing. Let's act all friendly. We can still do it. They tell me to move Smyrna to Armenia. You know, we can still defend. I just need support in Sevastopol. Let's do it. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. I'll get into Ionian. The Russian fleet can finally get into Aegean. We have some fleets on the line. We can hold this stalemate. We can do it. And I'll say there like, okay, I got my center back. I'm no longer completely at risk of dying. We can work with this, right? I'm like, but what if I stabbed some more? what if what if instead of just surviving, I start to try to, thrive? The typical turkey like cockroach in the corner. Like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not dead. I can get this center. Oh, and I can get this one too. So I'm in Armenia and I'm thinking, I could ask for Sevastopol here. I could just take Ankara. And I'm also an Ionian, so maybe I have some influence with France and Italy. Things are looking up right now. I can only improve. So England gets on the phone. He's like, "Hey, I'll support you into Sevastopol." I'm like, "Okay." I tell them this. I tell them that France wants me to support Tyrrhenian into Naples as well down here. So I tell them these moves so that my teammates can plan accordingly. For the right support. So I this support into Naples is planned with the Italians. So it just kind of backfires the entire plan. And then England still tries to support me in Sevastopol, but I'm like, well, that Ukrainian army is gonna get piffed anyway, right? You can, it's fine for me to stab here, right? Yeah, we can still hold the line here, right, guys? I'm just, trying to survive. I'm not trying to die. I don't want to get stabbed myself. It's purely defense. And at this point, the game is completely blown wide open. There's nothing that they can do to hold the line no more. The triple is through. I'm kind of hoping France or someone gets greedy here and goes for some crazy stab, but I just go consolidate my points here, and then we get Bulgaria. So suddenly I'm at 5 centers again. Like, wow, look at that. Now at this point the line is crossed. There's nothing they can really do. Italy and Austria, poor guys. I'm debating with myself. Well, I worked with the triple to get to this point. Like, do I try to get the draw because at some point they're gonna come into conflict, or do I just be a pain in their butt and try to fight them off? Right? I can get into Black Sea. I can hold the line in the Mediterranean, maybe. But ultimately, I'm like, you know what? I should just work with the triple here. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, maybe I could have gone into Armenia here instead of Khan, right? I could have actually pushed for at least like 6 centers, maybe 7 here, but I didn't want to be greedy against a triple, you know. But at this point, I could have tried to be a snake and tried to convince the triple to turn. Like, hey, I'm Turkey. I'm not gonna go down without a fight here. I'm gonna work with Austria and Italy again. You guys have to work for this shit. I'm not gonna let you do it for free any more than I already have. And I'm gonna take German dots. I'm gonna look to take some England dots back, and suddenly France has a lot more power, and maybe y'all should look to kill France. But nah, I decided against it. I'm like, I'm just gonna play nice, let them get to their 10-10-10. I'll vacate Bulgaria because I'm super nice, and then at the end we do the haha funny moments. You know, today was a lot of learning experiences and a lot of things I wish I would have done differently. Um, I hate to say it, but I'm learning to be more distrustful. I hate it. I don't like playing that way. I like being a good alliance player, you know? Like, I go in with high aspirations. I go in with a lot of optimism. You know, I'm going to be friends with people and we're going to take the board by storm, just the two of us. You know, we're going to do great. And then every damn time, they always stab me. Without fail, too. Every time I've tried to form an alliance, it's just gone poorly. Man, I don't I don't. I'm sad. I'm sad boy. But props to these guys in the Western Triple. You know, they did. They could have got more points. Maybe I think they only got like 68 points for this game. I got like 40 something maybe. But you know, this potentially looks like a German solo. Germany can just take over Russia of centers here. But yeah, it is what it is. So this is a little like 2-for-1 episode, I guess. Not super crazy. My memory is not the best, um, but still lots of learning experiences for me. You know, it is what it is. Getting better and better at the game. Negotiating is a lot easier now. I feel more confident in myself and my moves. I'm not playing super reliant on anyone, but I still ask for help or whatever, right? But I still feel like there's something missing from my game, and I can't quite put my finger on it. You know what I mean? I can't quite think of what exactly like I'm missing. But it is what it is. All right, this is the end of these games analysis. I think I have some press to talk about here. So we're gonna take a look. I am playing France in this game in a FG, but the G it looks like he could solo. Austria is trying to convince me to back off, and I may listen here because Germany could go for a solo in this position. But what's crazy about this game though is you would never guess what the start of this game looked like for me. This game is crazy. We bounce in Burgundy, Italy, and England are both moving against me in 01. Why does this always happen to me? Like, this is a mistake. I think I could have just gone for Portugal and just been super greedy, and then I would have been completely fine. But I try to be fancy with the self bounce. I only get one build. Um, they get into Burgundy. They get. Oh, it's just a disaster, man. I don't play the diplomacy here good at all. Oh, the one point of brilliancy. I, as a player, love making unnegotiated moves. If you ever play against me, this is my favorite thing to do. I got myself in a position here where I can influence their DMZ in the north, right? They're just bounce. They're gonna be bouncing every turn, and I'm like, okay, well, I see this. I see this as an absolute win. So I'm gonna get myself in a position, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna break up this agreement here and put Germany in a position to stab the fuck out of England. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. In my first ever game, I had an unwanted support. I unwillingly supported somebody so that they couldn't forward retreat anywhere. Right? I just like disrupting alliances like that. That's my favorite thing to do, and maybe that's why I'm such a cockroach sometimes in some of these games that I play. Like I just never die. Um, but you know, they definitely weren't expecting this. Like he thinks I'm going to London. He's trying to take Brest here, right? Now Germany takes a stab. He takes Belgium too. Oh, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love diplomacy for these moments, you know. Oh, oh man. So I'm at two centers. I have no armies. I'm like, Germany, I'm with you here. I'm fully trusting you. We gotta stop this Italian and Austrian bullshit going on. I'm with you, buddy. We can defend and we can work something out. I managed to get a build here. I can help in Gascony. We can take out the Italian. We get England back on side for whatever reason because England's super sad because he's gonna die in the north. And we just chug along. We break Italy. I stab England. We get in there. There's a miraculous turnaround. Germany and I have it figured out. I get across the line. Now I get Tunis. I have to worry about Germany now. But maybe I'll update y'all on this game another time. I make a really good guess this past turn though. Look at this convoy. I love it. I love it. Oh man. I love outguessing people. It gives me such a thrill. These are the moves I have in like set up now because Germany has yet to contact me. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Um, I'm debating whether or not of joining the other August games we have coming up, the Summer Classic or whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. I have to find time, but diplomacy is a huge time commitment, man. It's fun, but I'm losing my weekend pretty much. So we'll have to figure it out. I'm not stressed. Um, but hopefully you get to see some of those games if I decide to play. Thanks again for watching. Again, comments are open. Any suggestions, any discussion, always down to talk. My analysis is imperfect, so let me know. Thanks. Peace.